Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about changing out a wheel seal. This right here is a wheel seal. It retains oil inside your differential. Your differential is what makes your vehicle move. First, you start off by jacking up your vehicle with a floor jack. You put it under a secure, nice sturdy spot under the vehicle next to the wheel that you're going to be changing. After you jack up your vehicle, you put this jack stand under it. This right here supports your vehicle's weight just in case that your floor jack gives out on you. After you do that, you have to use this 1-inch this 1-inch impact gun, which has a 33mm socket on it, which does pretty much any vehicle out there. You take your wheel loose. It has 10 lug nuts all the way around it. After you take your wheel loose, you need to use this bar right here, which is a tire iron. This is used to move tires off of your hub, which is what holds your tires onto your differential, which is what moves your vehicle. The reason that we use this is just so you don't put so much strain on your back. They're real heavy. They weigh about 150 pounds with air in them. So you don't want to be trying to just do that much force. After you do that, you're going to get under your vehicle next to the wheel seal that you're going to be changing out. And you'll see this. This right here is called a slack adjuster. This one right here is an automatic one. It basically just makes your brakes work. You have a brake chamber which has a rod that pushes this, and it activates your brakes and makes your vehicle stop. To take the tension off of this nut right here, you just put a socket. It's a 7/16 socket. You put the socket on your ratchet and you just turn it counterclockwise. And you just keep on going until it completely stops. As soon as you're done with that, you have a drum, and your drum sits right behind your tires. After you take your tires off, you'll see a big round steel thing. It weighs about 75 pounds, so you might need a back brace for it, just so you don't strain your back again. They also make jacks for those drums, and you could go ahead and slide it off and you don't have to do any force at all. You also have, after you slide that off, you have your brake. This right here is your brake. You usually have to change these out because once your wheel seal goes out, it lets a bunch of oil out and it gets all of your brakes. If it gets all of your brakes, it's gonna you can't do anything with it. Your vehicle won't stop with that wheel just because it's just gonna be slick. After you take that off, you have your hub. For your hub, you're gonna need an air gun. You'll find 8 nuts in the front of it. You'll use your air gun and a 15/16 socket. All vehicles come with 15/16 nuts on them. Now I'm talking about semi-trucks. This is all on bigger stuff. All vehicles come with 15/16 nuts on them. Use this, and you're going to need to connect it to an air compressor. You go ahead and take everything loose. As soon as you're done taking that loose, you're going to have an axle that's just going to go in through your differential. You pull that out. It's about probably 5 feet long. You pull that out, set it to the side. That weighs about 25-30 pounds. After you pull that off, you have a big old nut, which you're also going to need a big socket for. It's about a 4.5-inch socket. You take that loose, and as soon as you're done taking that loose, as soon as you're done taking that nut loose, you go ahead and you take your bearing out. This is your first bearing. It's the smaller of the 2 bearings. You slide that off. Then you grab a hold of your hub and you shake it. Once you shake it, it will break loose from the rear, and this you'll see this in the back of your hub. Once you take your hub off, you'll be able to just slide it right on off, put it upside down on top of your drum, and you'll need this right here. This right here is actually to knock seals in, but you can also use it to knock the old seal out, which you just put it upside down on top of your inner bearing, and you just put it like that, and you just get a hammer and hit it a few times right here up top, and it'll knock your old seal out. As soon as you're done doing that, you'll have some rags. You wipe everything down, clean everything up, and just put your bearing, your inner bearing, make sure that you put the same exact one back in there. Put your inner bearing in, and then on top of that goes your wheel seal. You put your wheel seal on top of that. Once you do that, you're going to get your seal driver, and you're going to put it on top of your hub. You're going to get a hammer and hit it a few times until you'll feel the difference on the hit, and you'll hear it. And you just hit it a few times, and once it bottoms out, you'll hear it. You'll stop hitting it, get your hub, pick it up, put it onto your differential. Then you're going to put your outer, before you put your outer wheel seal in there, you got to make sure you put oil in there. If you don't put oil in there, it will end up seizing up your bearings, and you'll have a lot of problems. You'll end up breaking your bearings, breaking your differential, breaking your hub, and it'll be very costly. So make sure you put oil in there. I prefer Lucas oil. It's a lot thicker than regular gear oil. So you put your oil in there, not so it overflows, but so you can see that it's about to overflow. Then you put your outer bearing in there, slide it in, and you start putting everything in the same order that you took everything off. You start putting everything back on. You're going to have an inner nut, tightening it up. You're going to have a washer, put it on there, and you're going to have an outer nut, and you're going to have to tighten that up too with your 4.5-inch socket. After you do that, you're going to have to get your seal and, not your seal, you have to get your seal and put it onto your axle, slide that seal on there, and slide that axle into your differential. After you slide your axle into your differential, you'll have to kind of line it all up so all the studs line up with your hose. Push it in. After that, you'll have to use your gun again. This time you're going to tighten them up, which tightening up is always clockwise. You go ahead and you tighten it up until it bottoms out. You'll hear the gun hammering on your nuts, and you'll hear the gun hammering on your nuts, and once you have completed all of that, you get your brakes. You'll have a brand new set of brakes. You're going to go ahead and assemble them and put your springs on it. To put your springs on it, you'll need a pair of vice grips. You put your vice grips on there, and you put your vice grips on your springs and push it down. To push it down, sometimes they're kind of tight, so you'll need a pry bar. The pry bar, you just put your vice grips like that and just pry down on it, and you'll see where it snaps back into place. Then you grab your drum, slide it on, you grab your tires, and you'll have to use your tire bar again, and grab your tire and just push it in. The way that you push tires in is just by grabbing hold of them like that and just pushing them in. You push your inner tire in, push your outer tire onto, and start putting all your nuts on by hand. You need to put at least 2 or 3 threads by hand before you start tightening up with the 1-inch impact gun. After you do all of that, you go ahead and you tighten up all your nuts all the way around. After you're done tightening that up, you get under the truck and you're going to have to adjust your slack adjuster again. Now, whenever you're tightening up a slack adjuster, you tighten it up clockwise all the way until it bottoms out. Whenever it bottoms out, you go counterclockwise half a turn. By going counterclockwise half a turn, that doesn't let your brakes heat up while you're rolling down the road. After that, you take your jack stand out. You jack back up. If your jack did leak down any, take your jack stand out. It has this lever right here. You let off on it. It drops down. You pull it out. Then you go ahead and you let it down on your jack and pull that out, and you're pretty much set to go.